Gigi.
Gigi. Okay. Oh, it's so pretty. I wish I had that background.
Yeah, we have the pink wall and
yeah.
All right, so let's get started. Gigi is going to ask questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so can you give us a little background of your journey and how you became a wedding planner and what drew you into wanting to become a wedding planner?
So I started college in 1998 in Virginia, in Hampton, Virginia. And around that time is when like Pharrell and Timberland and Missy Elliott were really, really popular. And they were always on campus because they were from the area. So I started doing parties with friends. And that was just to capitalize, make some money while we were in school. And through that, we started working with record labels and doing like album release parties and that sort of thing. So that's when I first started to do events and really be like, I like this. So then after college, one of my roommates started her own media, marketing, and management company. And again, I started working with her. We were both in Atlanta, doing like corporate events like Porsche and Converse and Coke and different activations. And another one of our friends was getting married and asked us to help. And so I helped my friend do the wedding, and I thought it was really fun. And it was very similar to doing events, but I still just kept on the corporate party event theme. So then in 2008, my best friend in the whole world, we were only 2 weeks apart. We've known each other since our moms were pregnant with us. She was getting married in the Cayman Islands. And she said, can you plan my wedding? You do events all the time. At this time, I lived in Atlanta and she lived in New York. And then the wedding was in Cayman. So I was kind of very scared and overwhelmed by this feat, but she had complete confidence in me. And so I did that wedding where I was also the maid of honor. And a lot of the vendors there were stopping me and my parents saying like, if this isn't what you do, this is what you need to do. So after that, my corporate day job, I was a director of marketing communications for a ton of nonprofits. And I worked at different agencies and I also worked for the Falcons. So every job I had to plan some sort of event. And so after the wedding in 2008, I was helping here and there every couple years with a family or friend's wedding. Being that I was in the nonprofit world and in marketing, I unfortunately was laid off 4 different times.
Oh, wow.
So between 2011 and 2015. Mm-hmm. And so my first layoff in 2011, I decided I'm going to be a wedding and event planner, and I got an LLC, but then I found a job. So I let it go and still just help friends and family. Well, after my 4th layoff, I decided I got to figure something out. And I moved to North Carolina with my parents until my tenants moved out my house in Atlanta and was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And that's when I decided I'm going to make this a full-time business. And in order to do that, even though I have a bachelor's in entrepreneurship and an MBA in marketing, I felt it was important to get certified as a wedding and event planner. And that's when I signed up to take Lovegevity's class. And so I officially launched my business actually 2 years ago today, March 21st, 2017. And through Lovegevity, I've gotten some awesome opportunities. I was given the Dreammaker Award. And through that award, I was able to have a scholarship to go to David Tutera Symposium last year in Santa Monica to get my award. And I was told that he would pick 2 attendees to work with him on at least one event over the next year. I didn't think it would be me. I was like, I'm kind of new to this. It was about 30 people. There are people who have been wedding planners forever. And I was one of the 2 he picked.
So please welcome to the stage and someone that will be part of our journey as we do a real event. When I say a real event, a challenging event of a client of mine somewhere here in the United States, Jihan Francois.
So I had the opportunity to do a wedding with him in Brooklyn. And then this year, he also asked me to help with episodes of his new TV show. And so that's really helped me with growing my business and building it here in Wilmington, where I've only lived for like 2.5 years. So I kind of was starting from scratch. But I went from like one local client last year to I already have 7 for 2019. And then I still do weddings in other states from where I've lived or family and friends. And I realized I was always meant to own my own business, which I realized I knew since my undergraduate degree was actually in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like running from my calling. But now that I have my business, Amani Affairs, and just the support from my family, friends, and the community, and especially David, and Lovegevity show has been awesome. It's just really helped me thrive as a wedding planner, as a businesswoman, and as a person.
Yeah, and it sounds like through everything that you've been through in your past, that it's just been your calling, and this has always been just pulling you towards the event industry, and that's beautiful. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with working with David?
So when I went to the symposium, I was nervous because I had watched David on TV for years. It just was like, he's like the ultimate of what I want to be. And the first thing I'll say about him is he's completely down to earth and normal. When I checked in to register for the symposium, he's the person who checked me in. So I literally walked into the table and he's like, "Hi, what's your name?" And I was like, "What?" Like I was just so overwhelmed. And then over the course of the next few days, he was with us at every session. He ate every meal with us, and working with him is just like watching a master. It's like amazing to see how his mind works and how he solves problems or anticipates problems. And for me, I'm very organized and the planning part is simple. But when it comes to design, I'm still building my confidence in that and my skill. And so working with him, it's like it stretches you in every way, but especially in design, because everything he does is big and grand and beautiful. And the more you see how his mind thinks, it helps you. And one thing I love about David and his whole team is that he is free with compliments. Like if he likes what you did, he tells you right then, or he sends you an email the next day. So you never have to wonder. And it's not like when I did like my 7 love languages, words of affirmation weren't really high for me, but I realized, especially after working with him, how much it does like build my confidence and how much it means to me as a wedding planner. So I call David my planner godfather. And it's just been awesome to learn from one of the best.
Yeah, it's really good to have someone there to mentor you and especially to let you know you're doing a good job. So there's a lot to learn from him. Also, I understand that you are also an interior designer.
No.
Oh, sorry, wrong question.
Event design.
Okay, event designer. Okay. Can you tell us more how you incorporate the two together in your business?
So, as I mentioned, I do design and I'm every day growing stronger and feeling my confidence in that. I've always been clear about what I like and don't like once I see something. But now that I'm a full-time wedding planner, I've become more confident in explaining what I want to see. So I used to be more of an editor. Like you show me and I say, no, add this. But now I can be like, I can talk to my clients and they say, I'm going for this kind of vibe. And I can feel confident in going to Pinterest or just dreaming, really. Stuff comes to me at night, thinking about how to make that come to a reality. And one of the things that really helped me with that is I did my first style shoot last year and I got it featured in a local magazine here. So I was really like, oh my gosh, this is my first style shoot. And usually when you get hired as a wedding planner, the bride is like, this is kind of what I want. And you have like a baseline for what you're creating. But for the style shoot, the venue asked me to just do whatever I wanted. And so I basically planned like an imaginary wedding for myself. And that's when I really was like, I have a good eye for this, and got a lot more confidence in it. And again, I didn't realize the words of affirmation from other people. I was like, this is what I can do. So I always try, even if I'm just a month of coordinator, I always ask my brides or grooms to tell me, like, to show me what they're doing along the way, show me their ideas. Even though they're planning it, I always want to be able to like insert some things that I think could punch it up or make it better. And so that's kind of how I always incorporate my eye and my love of design into every event that I do.
Yeah, great. So congratulations. I understand how hard it is, you know, to go through the struggles and actually succeed in the business and commit and make your dreams a reality. And it's beautiful. And there are so many women out there that are going through the same thing as you. And I just wanted to ask, what advice do you have for others who are pursuing their dreams in this?
Well, I'll start out by saying this has been probably like one of my biggest obstacles. One thing is I'm 38 years old, but I look very young. And so I've always had to struggle with like people taking me seriously. I was the third youngest in my business school program. And then my first job, I was director of marketing at one of the largest arts centers in the Southeast. And I was the age of all the other marketing directors' kids. So I always had to kind of like, that's always a hurdle I have to deal with, of just being young and looking young. And then as an African-American woman, I always struggle with like not wanting to be the angry Black woman or be seen as just as a woman that's too emotional or too sassy. And so one thing I encourage all women to do is to own your voice. Never be afraid to speak up for yourself, to ask the hard questions, or to say what no one else is saying. Even if people want to put a stereotype on you when you do these things, as you prove yourself and they really listen to what you have to say, they'll come to understand that you're an expert and you're there for a reason. So I always have to like kind of give myself mantras about like, I am enough, I am smart enough, like I belong here. Because there's been so many instances where I've been made to feel as if I don't belong. Before my MBA, I worked in finance. I issued bonds. I wasn't your typical bond person. So it's always, and then I worked in sports. Again, it's like, why are you here? But I encourage all women to know, like, listen to your gut. It doesn't steer you wrong. And I feel like as women, we sometimes, or a lot of times, second guess what we think because of outside forces. But over these years, I've learned, especially through 4 layoffs in 5 years, that my voice never leads me wrong. What leads me wrong is going against it. So have faith in yourself, have the courage to believe in yourself. And for me, faith is a big thing. I'm not super religious, but my Christian faith means a lot to me. So I would encourage anyone, whatever your faith is or whatever you believe in, to lean strong in that, and that will guide you through. As I look back, I understand why every layoff happened, why every bad situation happened, and how it led me here. And so now I encourage myself and others to realize whatever you think is bad is actually for your good. And even if you don't understand it now, soon you will.
Yes, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Couldn't have said it better.
Thank you.
So who are your biggest role models and why?
So the first 2 that come to mind, and this may be like cliche, but one is my grandmother. She passed away in 2013 from Alzheimer's and kidney issues, but she was a single mom to 3 girls. By the time she was 24, my grandfather and her had broken up, all she had was high school. She ended up putting herself through Boston Business School with 3 girls at home living in the projects of Boston to graduate second in her class. And then went on to work at State Street Bank in Boston for over 3 decades and buy a 3-story home in Boston, which was home to her and many of my family members over the years. And then she continued after her kids were grown to take care of our whole family. She took in her sister when she had cancer. After her sister died, she took in her sister's grandkids because their mom couldn't take care of them. And so she's always been around